collusion between some principals and booksellers. And of course, it was worth billions of shillings worth of business in terms of money that was exchanging hands. But Dr. Matiang'i coming out to streamline this yet again in the education sector.
Yeah, I think we actually have to commend Dr. Matiang'i when it comes to education sector. I would not want to comment on other issues though. On education, I think he has done quite a commendable job. And even the step to streamline the textbook supply is actually a good step, because we're talking of corruption running into billions of shillings. Even though we do not say we are going to completely do away with the corruption in that sector, because there's still the process of tendering and procurement. But the fact that now it's going to be done through a government agency is a big step towards the right direction.
And also removing the principles from that equation, because then their recommendation of books might be skewed by how much money they're making. Not necessarily the learners' education and what they need. Yeah,
and that's very important that you say that people do not look at the effect of certain actions that we take. When you bring corruption into issues such as textbook procurement, it becomes a very big issue, because you are interfering with the basic foundation of education. So I think that's a good step, and the fact that now people have been removed from the equation, it remains very streamlined. We only need to ensure that the right people are actually
the books that they require are the ones that they actually find. So there you go, state orders firm to supply books before schools reopen. Again, now that we are on that page, matters education, Jubilee did make a promise that from January, there's going to be free education in secondary schools. And I guess that might also be one of the reasons why Dr. Matiang'i is saying that these books need to be supplied by the beginning of the year. But that's something else that we're waiting to see how it's going to roll out.
It's actually a very complicated equation. The economy as it is right now is not very stable, coming from the very prolonged, protracted political period. But we wait to see how the Jubilee government is going to enforce this. Let's not hope it is not one of those promises that are always made during. But we're hoping for the best, you know. It's a wonderful step if we could have free education.
I think it is a wonderful step. However, there needs to have been structures in place, not just a promise that is going to be anchored on empty rhetoric. And the reason for that is because free education for primary schools doesn't seem to have worked as expected. Because parents still complain that it is not indeed very free. And secondly, the bigger question is also the quality. It's not just offering free education, but is it quality free education?
And it's important because the primary school education was made free, I think, based on political promises, and the need to actually fulfill those promises before a certain term ends. And therefore, no structures were put in place like years before. These are very complex steps. Then they need proper structures, systems, institutions, and leaders to be in place before actually they are implemented. So they should not be implemented on a whim or by the need to actually fulfill promises made during, the political periods. They should be implemented based on structures in place, as you say. So we get quality.
Yes, because especially what you want for children really is quality education, not just free